Hollywood celebrated cinema last night with the 98th Annual Academy Awards. But did you know that a few big screen films were made right here in Edmonton? Christopher Redmond was born and raised in Alberta. He primarily writes about Canadian cinema on his Substack page, which is titled Bon Shot, Bad Shot, and recently took a closer look at Tinseltown's connection to YEG. Well, Christopher joins us now to talk about it. Good morning.
Good morning, Tara.
Now, full disclosure, you and I went to journalism school together, so I love that you did this deep dive into the best movies made in Edmonton. But why did you do this?
Oh, well, specifically for Edmonton, I'm a kid that grew up all around Alberta, right? Small towns, St. Paul, Alberta, Crow's Nest Pass, Peace River. And so for me, Edmonton always represented sort of the epicenter of fun. Klondike Days, Jubilations Theatre, Oilers games, Chuck E. Cheese, of course, West Edmonton Mall. But I never thought of it as a film city. And it wasn't until doing this research and wanting to find the best films from every city that I dug deep into Edmonton. And I was really impressed with what I found.
Yeah, you identified the top 10 Hollywood films that are made here. Now, we're only going to have time to talk about the top 5 on the list. So can you briefly tell us first about the bottom 2, number 5 and number 4?
Sure. Well, number 5 is a movie called Good Luck, Chuck. So this stars Dane Cook and Jessica Alba. And it's sort of a raunchy romantic comedy about a guy who is cursed since childhood. So every woman he sleeps with ends up marrying the next man she dates. And it kind of comes out of that gross out era of the early 2000s after American Pie. It hasn't aged super great. Dane Cook is not even trying to be that likable in it, which is maybe why I kind of liked it. It's not that politically incorrect, but that's maybe a virtue to it. And Jessica Alba's character works at an aquarium. And a lot of the movie was shot in Vancouver. But the aquarium scenes with the penguins was actually filmed at the Film Alberta Studios, just off Calgary Trail North. And also some exterior shots were shot in Old Strathcona.
And then what's at number 4?
Number 4 is a movie called Santa's Sleigh. That's Sleigh, S-L-A-Y. So this is a movie that stars Bill Goldberg from the WWE as a demonic Santa. Okay, it was the first ever film written and directed by a guy named David Steinman, who never wrote or directed anything again. So that's maybe a red flag. But he was the personal assistant for this kind of super producer in Hollywood, Brett Ratner, who made all the Rush Hour movies. And it was clearly kind of greenlit at the height of Ratner's powers. But it's a knowingly cheesy B-horror movie and actually pretty fun. What I would call a good, bad movie.
Okay, I know what you mean.
I went in with, beyond low expectations. It's not exactly, Black Christmas or Rare Exports, but it is one of the better Christmas horror movies that's out there. Christmas-themed horror movies.
Okay, Santa's Sleigh. Then a film called Paper Marriage is in the number 3 spot. What's this one about?
So this is technically not a Hollywood film, but it is a Hong Kong action movie starring martial artist Sammo Hung and the internationally acclaimed actress Maggie Cheung. Now, if you've ever seen Sammo Hung, maybe from like Martial Law on TV, you'll know these two are a real unlikely pair. He's kind of famously stocky, heavy-set action star with like a round face, soft cheeks. And Maggie Cheung is like an all-time screen beauty. But the odd pairing is part of the point. It's supposed to be a marriage of convenience between these two to get a green card. And it all just ends up with an action scene at West Edmonton Mall. And honestly, Edmonton has never looked so good on film. Really? I mean, they've got beautiful shots of the skyline outside in the city, just along the North Saskatchewan River. And even the title card for the film is like on a hilltop overlooking the high-level bridge. The movie is hard to find. It's got like English subtitles, but just finding clips of it online, watching Sammo Hung kind of smash through the glass at West Edmonton Mall Water Park or karate kick guys on the pirate ship in the mall is well worth checking it out online.
I gotta watch that one. Okay, number 2 I have seen. This is a 1997 survival thriller called The Edge. It stars Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. There's definitely mountains in this one. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it. But it was also shot in Edmonton?
Yeah, so I mean, Alberta Wilderness really gets to be the big star of the film, right? So does Bart the Bear, which is like this legendary Alaskan Kodiak that also appeared in Legends of the Fall, which was shot in southern Alberta. And, I mean, Bart the Bear gives literally the greatest bear performance of all time. That sounds weird, but like this is before CGI. And so that performance is going to take the crown and hold it forever as the best bear performance ever on film. And it's like got this good lean script written by David Mamet, even though it turns like a billionaire into the hero. But Anthony Hopkins is typically great. It's enjoyable from beginning to end. But as you said, like all those glorious shots are of Kananaskis if you're thinking of the mountains in the movie and stuff. But there was some studio work done in Edmonton, so it qualifies for the list.
Really? So they shot a bunch of indoor scenes at a studio or something?
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, that same studio.
Okay. Well, then before we reveal the film in the top spot, you actually have an honorable mention for us. So what is it?
Yeah, okay. So, like, one of my big rules when I'm making these lists about the best cities from every, or the best films from every city, is that they have to film within city limits. And so, unfortunately, I had to eliminate what many consider to be the greatest Western movie of all time. And that is John Ford's The Searchers. It actually has a small scene shot at Elk Island National Park, just outside the city.
Huh.
And if you watch the movie, you'll see just the back of John Wayne and Jeffrey Hunter, because it's stand-ins. They didn't actually come to Edmonton to film it, so they never acted with the bison. But there was a second unit that came, shot the bison, and they spliced it into the film with some extras pretending to be the stars. So there is a really great Edmonton connection to, you know, one of the greatest Westerns of all time. And that has been my favorite discovery in all of this research, for sure.
I love that. What film is number one then on your list?
Well, number one with a bullet, pun intended, is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. So this movie most people have heard of. It stars Brad Pitt and Casey Affleck. And it was an easy number one. It did a lot of filming in and around Calgary as well. But the most famous sequence in the film is a train heist that was kind of most famously shot at Fort Edmonton Park. So the film is directed by Andrew Dominic, and it's truly one of the most beautifully photographed films of this century. Shot by the legendary cinematographer Roger Deakins. And the movie came out in one of the best film years ever as well, 2007. That was the same year as No Country for Old Men won the Oscar. Zodiac was out there. There Will Be Blood. So it was in a lot of heavy competition with similar kind of like macho-themed films, but it has really stood the test of time and is a real beautiful testament to shooting in Edmonton.
Well, this is a great list, Christopher. Thanks so much for joining us to talk about it.
Anytime, Tara. Thanks so much.
Yeah, nice to chat with you. Christopher Redmond was born and raised in Alberta. He's now an Ottawa-based director working in television. And you can find his article about the best movies from Edmonton on his Substack page, which is titled Bon Shot, Bad Shot.